Which members of the Backstreet Boys had a shouting match? Will Omarion and Lil Fizz ever reconcile? Are the Jonas Brothers still brothers? Keep watching for the truth about these pressing topics. In 2013, Disney's greatest teen dream came to a crashing close when the Jonas Brothers canceled their 19-date tour just 2 days before it was set to start. As their spokesman told People magazine, there was a deep rift within the band. There was a big disagreement over their music direction. Nick Jonas put it more succinctly in the documentary Chasing Happiness when he said, "Nothing is working. We hate each other basically." In 2019, Nick elaborated on the beef during an episode of CBS Sunday Morning as he claimed that their relationship strained under the pressures of waning fan interest and the brothers not feeling particularly proud of their own sound.
So I had a very tough conversation with them where I laid it out for them. I said, I feel like the Jonas Brothers should be no more, and we should go on individual journeys.
Subsequently, the brothers barely talked for months, so much so that Nick was afraid that Joe and Kevin would stop talking to him. Fortunately, the Jonas Brothers eventually rediscovered their love for each other and their band. They're back, and so is the music. In the 1990s, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys formed two sides of the same coin, but fans took sides and passionately fought for their favorites. The rivalry was great for business, and it was reportedly covertly encouraged by Lou Pearlman, who managed both bands at the time. Pearlman's tactic involved turning the bands against each other, and it worked out exactly as planned. As NSYNC's Lance Bass explained in the documentary The Boy Band Con, "We stayed against each other our whole entire careers. I was scared of them."
Both bands wanted to outdo each other.
In a 2018 interview with Billboard, NSYNC looked back on the feud, or lack thereof. Joey Fatone admitted that there was some friendly competition and also revealed that there was a time when Chris Kirkpatrick had beef over a girl with Backstreet's AJ McLean. As Kirkpatrick admitted, "I wanted to punch AJ's lights out for a little while. Fortunately, they've since become good friends." In 2021, both bands publicly buried the hatchet when Backstreet Boys McLean and Nick Carter joined Bass and Fatone for a joint Pride performance. At the event, McLean told People magazine that the feud was fabricated by management, though it did have a real impact on the young members of both bands. Thankfully, everyone realized over time that they had more in common than not. 2021 was a politically turbulent year that even the Backstreet Boys weren't immune to. Back in 2017, Brian Luttrell voiced his impassioned support for Donald Trump to TMZ, and he further extended the support by sharing his Parler handle on Twitter and suggesting that his fans join him on there. Parler is a social media network with a conservative reputation that's banned by Apple, Google, and Amazon due to its reported failure to control hate speech. It became particularly popular after Facebook and Twitter banned Trump from their platforms following statements he made during the January 6 Capitol attacks, and it appeared to have a big following among QAnon believers. Luttrell's bandmate Kevin Richardson then raised eyebrows by sharing a link on his Twitter to a Cosmopolitan article entitled "I Lost a Best Friend to QAnon." And he wasn't the only Backstreet Boy who appeared to be subtweeting about the matter. Just hours before Luttrell's tweet, AJ McLean tweeted a photo of himself drinking from a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris mug. We can only imagine how hot the BSB group text was that week. When the Backstreet Boys started out in the mid-90s, Brian Luttrell was made the guardian of his bandmate Nick Carter, who was only 13 at the time. They got along so well that fans even affectionately nicknamed them Frick and Frack. Fast forward a few decades, and Frick and Frack had fallen out. In 2011, Luttrell was diagnosed with muscle tension dysphonia, a condition that impairs his vocal range. As seen in the documentary Show 'Em What You're Made Of, Carter didn't hold back while hurling barbs at his former bestie during an argument about Luttrell's handling of the issue, as he shouted, "Don't be a f***ing d*** like everyone knows you are." Meanwhile, Luttrell implied that he'd been doing some serious heavy lifting for Carter all these years, as he said, "I can't do your job anymore." The Backstreet Boys are no strangers to beefing with each other, but their conflicts do appear to be rooted in brotherhood, and this appears to be no exception. As Carter said at the end of their fight, "I genuinely want you to get better. I miss that voice, and I believe you can have it back."
And I know it's gonna happen.
In 2015, Zayn Malik announced his emancipation from One Direction. As he wrote on the band's Facebook, "I am leaving because I want to be a normal 22-year-old who is able to relax and have some private time out of the spotlight." He vowed that the rest of the lads were his four friends for life, but the beef that ensued for years afterwards suggests the opposite. For example, just after Malik left, he had to prompt Louis Tomlinson to stop arguing with Naughty Boy, a producer Malik was working with. Relations further soured when Malik failed to show up for a supportive X Factor appearance with the rest of the band after Tomlinson's mom died. Over the years, the beef appeared to deepen to the point that Malik was no longer in touch with the rest of the band. He suggested to Vogue UK that the other members had said unexpectedly snide things about him, and he also admitted, "I ain't spoke to any of them for a long time, to be honest with you." Niall Horan defended their apparent cold shoulder to The Sun, as he accused Malik of being the hardest man to get in touch with. New Kids on the Block were actual kids when they rose to stardom in the 80s, and they may have been too young to handle the fame and success that followed. A Los Angeles Times report from September 1990 detailed how the band had been involved in at least 6 violent incidents within that month alone. This included Donnie Wahlberg allegedly scuffling with the Harvard student during a flight to Atlanta, which sounds like something straight out of Good Will Hunting.
I don't want to be violent, but I'm not going to be silent.
The band's lawyer, Len Lewin, was horrified and promised change, as he declared, "Some program is going to be established to change things around as to how they conduct themselves. I think something has to be done. We're going to sit down with parents, kids, management, the whole team." The New Kids also had beef with each other, even though 4 out of 5 of them were friends from school. In 2019, Jonathan Knight told the Boston Herald, "As things went on, we were constantly fighting with each other." He also indicated that the rigors of an adult work schedule were simply too much for him and his bandmates. As he put it, "We were teenagers and we didn't really have our own lives. Anyone that age would have acted the same way." Formed in 1978, New Edition helped set the template for all the boy bands that followed in their wake. They were enjoying great success, but then they ran into trouble when Bobby Brown started behaving against his band's best interests. Brown longed to go solo, while his bandmates were frustrated over him no longer prioritizing the group. As chronicled in the BET miniseries The New Edition story, the conflict culminated in an onstage fight in Oakland as Brown stormed the stage and snatched the microphone away from Michael Bivins mid-performance. The ruckus was so incredible that Ricky Bell had to take to Twitter after the episode aired to insist that it indeed actually happened. New Edition has gone on to launch various reunions over the years, including a disastrous mid-90s tour that Bell called the worst of his life. Through it all, the beef remains. During a 2017 appearance on The Breakfast Club, Bell compared New Edition to a marriage, as he explained, "There's egos, there's hangovers from unresolved situations, there's still some resentments." After 5 years of saucy pop gymnastics, the British boy band Take That broke hearts when it was announced that Robbie Williams would no longer be a member. In 2013, Williams told BBC Radio 4 that he was drinking heavily at the time, and that the rest of the lads wanted him out as soon as possible, with bandmate Jason Orange telling him, "We think it's best you go now so we can prove we can do this as a 4-piece." Whatever tensions existed prior to Williams leaving arguably grew even worse afterward. He had to pay his way out of his $1 million contract, which left him £500,000 in debt to them. Meanwhile, Take That discovered that they couldn't hack it as a quartet after all, so they called it quits in 1996, while Williams began to soar as a solo act. In a 2010 documentary, Williams revealed that his success was partly motivated by rage. As he explained, "My problem has always been with Gary Barlow. It was always with Gary. I wanted to crush him." For his part, Barlow discussed his former bandmate's success in the documentary by admitting, "It was a constant daily mock. It followed me everywhere. You just seem like a total loser." But time heals at least some wounds, as the two have buried the hatchet enough for Williams to collaborate with Barlow and Take That on and off since 2010. Like Robbie Williams leaving Take That, Brian McFadden departed Irish boy band Westlife in 2004 at the peak of their fame. Unlike Williams, though, the decision to exit the band was McFadden's own. As reported by The Guardian, he insisted that the split was amicable and that his bandmates were his best friends. He also explained that his decision simply came down to wanting to see more of his wife and kids. A few months later, McFadden had embarked on a shaky solo career and left the wife he said he wanted to see more of. All the while, Westlife thrived without him, scoring #1 hits and selling out tours across the UK. The band's beef then surged to the surface when Kian Egan assured that Westlife would never welcome McFadden back. As he put it to the Mirror, "Do you think he should come back? The 4 of us have spent the past 8 years working our asses off to keep it together, and he hasn't." By 2015, McFadden appeared to somewhat regret his decision. As he mused to The Independent, "Sometimes I think if I'd stayed another 10 years, I would have made a lot of money, but that would be the only reason for any regret." Worse still, McFadden later claimed the rest of Westlife had turned down a multi-million-pound deal from Simon Cowell to reunite with McFadden. B2K's Lil Fizz found himself in the middle of some big beef when he started dating model and fellow Love and Hip Hop Hollywood star April Jones in 2019. The problem was that Jones was the ex-partner of Fizz's B2K bandmate Omarion. B2K had only just reformed and were approaching the end of their 2019 Millennium Tour when Omarion found out about the relationship. Eyebrows were raised when Omarion then announced a 2020 Millennium Tour lineup that was conspicuously missing B2K, and he chose to make the announcement on Lil Fizz's birthday. Shade wasn't directly thrown, but it was lurking between the lines. B2K member Jay Boog was certainly mad enough to take to Instagram Live to direct his blame squarely at Fizz. Meanwhile, Omarion earned himself the nickname King of Unbothered by fans due to just how little he appeared to care. Apparently, this came naturally to the crooner who claimed to Big Boy TV in 2020 that he and Fizz don't have a relationship and haven't really had one for 20 years. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.